Ladies and gentlemen, this evening's performance of
The Diz Explorers
will begin in 2 minutes. Excellent
listening
locations are still available all around Showcase Promenade. Due to the use of
alcohol and opinions.
around the lagoon, for your safety, we request that you remain on the promenade side of all railings. During the show, please watch your step and take small children firmly by the hand. Once again, this evening's performance of
The Diz Explorers
will begin in just 2 minutes. Thank you.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Diz Explorers podcast, where each week we explore the different avenues of the great Disney universe. This week we have another guest because that's what we seem to be doing now, which is great. We don't want to talk to each other anymore, so now we bring strangers on. Just kidding. So this week we have Mr. Steamboat Jim from the Briar Patch Radio podcast.
Hey guys.
So Jim and I are, besides social media friends, Jim had reached out to me when he was going to be starting a podcast, and just we chatted about different things, what recording equipment, microphones, and this, that, and the other thing. And he has since started his podcast, which is called Briar Patch Radio. And at the end of the episode, I'll let him plug all his stuff, so you can get out there and have a listen to his podcast and give him a follow on everything else. So Jim is on with us tonight because he is, I guess, what we would call a Disney newbie. He went on a first trip in the late 2000s. And then there was a long gap in between until he went on his honeymoon. So he, 2008 being his first experience at the parks, it's hard for me to imagine. And I guess people's first time wasn't always back in the 80s. It wasn't always a destination for everybody when they were growing up. So it's just funny to hear, when people, despite their age, and Jim is a little younger than some of us on this show, so it I guess that puts it in perspective too, because if he physically wasn't born during that time, he obviously couldn't go. So but anyway, before I get too off track with this, so what led you to going back? So in 2008, what was your impressions I guess back in 2008? I'm trying to think of what the major stuff was going on in 2008. So Animal Kingdom was a baby. It was only 10 years old. The studios, I believe that was the year the name change happened. It was 2007 or 8, where it went from MGM to Hollywood Studios. It was a full park then. So I don't know. So going then, what did you think from being your first time in the parks? Were you like were you a fan of Disney World? Was it something you always wanted to do, or?
I never really actually thought about it. I was a big fan of the Disney movies and stuff, but I guess I'll say obsession started when I took the first trip to the parks. We walked into the Magic Kingdom the first time, and then just seeing the castle at the end of Main Street, and that's takes us up till now. As soon as I saw it, I just stopped. I was with a friend of mine, and they kept walking, and I just stopped and froze and just stared down, and I don't know how to explain the feeling. I'm sure you guys understand.
The warm and fuzzies.
But it was just
yes. I still do that.
Yeah, me too.
It was just instantly hooked from there.
Nice. Yeah, I think that pretty much is what hooks everybody the first time. And every time in between, it's, it's definitely when I see the castle for the first time, you get that choked up, and and that feeling of, I know I always usually just stand there for a second, take a big breath, and just like, I'm home. It's like a feeling of relief. You know, it's like, okay, I'm good now. I don't care what's going on anywhere else. I'm here. So yeah, I could definitely understand that. So was it at a long trip, or were you there a few days, or?
Oh gosh.
That first trip, do you remember, or do you remember how? You know,
I want to say it was about a week.
Okay. So what stood out? What stood out for you? Like, was there stuff? Anything? Did you know anything going into it? You know, iconic attractions. Did you know Pirates Haunted Mansion, or were you just like kind of flying blind?
No, I was flying blind. The friend I was with knew a lot about the parks and had gone to the parks as a kid and everything. I knew literally nothing about the parks, and I honestly didn't think I'd like it because I don't like theme parks as far as like roller coasters, stuff like that aren't my thing. So I went into it going, well, this is going to be dumb, but I'll be hanging out with my friend, yada yada. And like I said, as soon as I walked onto property, I could have not ridden a ride that day and I would have been the happiest guy in the world.
Nice. Yeah, no, I'm with you. Yeah, so it's funny to think that too, that even then, almost 10 years ago, that you would come onto Disney property with no planning whatsoever, because now they've made it almost impossible. I mean, you could do it, but it's not ideal unless you're like by yourself or with a small group of people who don't mind, you know, doing, you know, fly by night, for more lack of a better term. So
yeah.
Having heart palpitations just talking about it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Our master planner is she's got like a stress ball. She's going crazy with it now.
You know me so well.
All right. So now looking ahead till now. So when you went again, it was on your honeymoon, correct?
Yeah. Gosh, 2 years ago now, 2015.
Okay. So a lot has changed. A lot had changed in that. I can't do math. 7 years. So, so when you went with your wife now this time, so what was the? Did you guys do any sort of planning with that, or?
She actually surprised me with the trip. Just to backtrack just a little bit,
yeah.
I was really big into Disney, and no one I really knew was into Disney, so I sort of had a falling out, I guess I'll say. I didn't keep up the way I did originally, because I followed it for years strong. I was a D23 member for probably 4 years, and just followed everything real strong. Well, I started to just kind of fall out. I still really liked it. I just didn't follow up with as much because I didn't have anyone to really discuss anything with or anything. So by the time me and my wife went, we were actually planning a trip together to Denver, Colorado, because that's where she really wanted to go. And I didn't know behind my back she was planning this whole trip to Disney. So after our honeymoon, or after our wedding, we had like 2 hours of sleep and had to get to the airport. And when we got there, she gave me my wedding present, and I opened it up, and it was a box with magic bands in it.
Oh, that's awesome.
And on 2 hours of sleep, my reaction was very underwhelming because I didn't really get what was going on. But we got on the plane then, and I fell asleep, and I woke up, and then it really hit me. Yeah,
Nice.
Then it hit me where we were going. Do you want me to go into the trip a little bit?
Well, I'm just trying to get like a basis here. So 2005, so a couple of years ago. So all right, yeah. So now going with your wife.
We stayed at the Art of Animation because we were watching TV, and you know how the Travel Channel does Disney things every once in a while, and they did a review of the Art of Animation, and I was freaking out to my wife that was the new resort, and I wanted to stay there, not knowing that she was planning a trip. So she actually booked that for us to stay there, and yeah, I noticed a lot of things changed that, like I said, I didn't keep up on it that much. So I'd go to do certain things and they weren't there. And
Right. Okay. So what stood out for you guys when you went there? Like, what was there anything that you knew you had to do from that 2008 trip? Was there stuff that you guys, discovered that you wouldn't think you would have, like you said, I know you're not a roller coaster person, and I am not either. And I think many people who are roller coaster people do not consider any of them on Disney property actual roller coasters, because none of them are, super crazy. So what was like your favorite stuff? So what was your guys' like, I guess, plan of attack, if so to speak? Did you do any, did you have dining stuff? Did you do everything that you would plan for a Disney trip? Or did you just kind of wander and take it in and go easy?
No, she did a great job of planning, especially for someone who isn't the biggest Disney fan.
Right.
And but she's a huge roller coaster person, and for me, I love Disney roller coasters because, like you said, they're fun enough for me, but for her, they're just like baby coasters. I guess. I don't know. They scare the crap out of me, but
yeah, no.
But no, it was a pretty big mix of about everything. It was a lot of stuff that I never thought I would have even gotten to do. We got to eat in Cinderella's castle.
Nice.
Which we're not big fancy food people, so that was really strange. We're very basic food people, so going there, I didn't know what most of the stuff I ordered was. It was really good, and the experience was amazing getting to do that. We got to ride every coaster, I believe. We did the main things that I wanted to do. I had to drag her onto It's a Small World because she didn't want to do that because of the song, but
shame.
I was able to pull her onto It's a Small World. I'm trying to think like Magic Kingdom right now. Barnstormer is always a must-do for me. I love the Barnstormer.
It's the best 30 seconds you could possibly do.
Sadly enough, on my trip in 2008, that was the first roller coaster I'd ever ridden. Since I was a kid, my uncle forced me on one around here, and that's why I don't ride roller coasters anymore. But so that was the first one to kind of break the ice. So I have to ride that when I go, and PhilharMagic's definitely a must-do.
Yep.
For me.
Nice.
I love PhilharMagic.
Yes, it's a good show.
Yes, Disneyland needs it desperately.
I'd say my biggest must-do, and this will fit in with you, Jessica, is Fantasmic. I can't do a trip and not do Fantasmic.
Oh, I love that show so much.
I want to go to Disneyland so bad to see Disneyland's because everyone tells me it's better than
I think it's just the fact that you're so close to it makes it that much more exciting because the seating area is right up against the water, so everything is just like in your face. It's really, really cool.
That was the one thing that we didn't have planned to do, and I begged and pleaded for us. I forget what we were originally going to do, and we changed our plans around to make sure that we could hop over there to get to see Fantasmic. That's the one place if you can't tell by my name, I'm a huge Steamboat Willie fan. So getting to see the Steamboat come around is awesome for me.
Nice. All right, so and you've been one other time since.
2015
correct?
Was my last trip.
Oh, that was the last trip. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. With everything that you guys got to do, and now have you? I mean, I'm sure being on Twitter and Facebook and anything else, you've seen and heard people talking about attractions and shows and things of the past. So, of some of that stuff, is there anything you have had any vested interest in? Like, have you gone and checked out stuff on either YouTube or old fan sites, things of that nature, or are you just kind of happy and content with what you can go and see now and could really not care less is the wrong term, but aren't necessarily stuck in the past, I guess, kind of like myself. Not that I'm stuck in the past, but I can't think of a way to explain it. Like I know how I want it to sound in my head. I guess because you only know.
It's just we have a vested interest when things change.
Well,
Yeah.
and
No,
not
we missed it.
and not change for the better. So I'm trying to preface the question or get the thought process of not
How
to
about
say
this?
that everything.
Dreamfinder, the original Dreamfinder, I've watched multiple times
Okay.
because I love Figment. So if that's
Gotcha.
what you're getting at, yeah, I do go back. I do go back and try to watch older things, and I love the history of the parks. So I do try to go back and learn what I can learn and see what I can see. And I do listen to this podcast quite a bit. So usually if you guys mention something, I'll do my best to go back and try to check stuff out, especially as far as Epcot goes. The old Epcot really interests me.
As it should.
I haven't I haven't had a whole lot of time lately to go back and look into a whole lot of stuff, but yeah, I do, when I have time, try to go back and watch as much as I can.
Okay. I guess that was my point, was about the, did you have any interest in the history of the park, or are you just going because you're purely a fan of going to the theme park and you enjoy what's there? And, yes, the past was the past and the history is the history, because there's a lot of people that just don't worry about it. It's not that they don't care about it. It's just not something that they're either A, into, or B, worried about enough that they will, spend their spare time or free time researching or just looking up on it. Just in today's age of social media and YouTube and everything, it's so incredibly easy to go back and try to find any of that stuff or find information on it, or videos, which is the easiest thing. So I just was wondering.
The thing that kind of sparked the history for me was, like you said, when I went the first time, it was right when it got switched to Hollywood Studios. So I never knew it was MGM Studios. And I was amazed when I found out that they were tearing down the Hat. And for me, Hollywood Studios is my favorite park from that first trip. Now it's kind of a shell, but that's just always been my favorite park since we went there. I love it, and I always loved the Sorcerer Mickey hat. And so when I saw they were tearing it down, I was like, oh my gosh, like, people are going to be devastated. And there was like this giant uproar on the internet of people so happy that they were tearing down the Hat. And I, just from being, like you said at the beginning, a newbie, I didn't realize that the Hat just wasn't always there. So for me, that's kind of what sparked me going back and going, oh, okay, well, it wasn't always there. I guess that makes sense. And just kind of, like I said, that just kind of sparked the interest of me learning more and more about the past and about Walt and everything. I love the history of all of it.
Nice. Yeah, that hat overstayed its welcome.
So RJ, let me ask you, especially about like Epcot, because I'm 25, so I didn't grow up with the old Epcot either. What would you suggest people that didn't grow up with it look up? Like, what do you think is the most important stuff from the past that we should know about?
My obvious answer would be the old attractions, the original opening day ones being the original Journey into Imagination, and then Horizons and World of Motion. And not only because they were great.
Body Wars.
Body Wars was good, but that wasn't opening day. And it's basically...
It wasn't opening day,
it's
but it's...
Star Tours, but inside your body. Cranium Command was a much better show to me. But to answer you, Jessica, and not only watching those and learning about them because they were just great to experience, just to see... It seemed that, to me, a lot more, not care, because I haven't seen Flights of Passage yet, and I heard that knocks it out of the park, but that is more or less a thrill ride. I know there's a story, but it's basically you're sitting on something and everything's laid out before you in a screen. There's no set design, there's no animatronics, there's none of that other stuff. So these attractions were big attractions, huge show spaces, lots and lots and lots of animatronics, both human and creature and animal, whatever they had, multiple show scenes and a big story. I mean, these attractions some of them were, anywhere between 12 and 18 minutes long, which now it's like, people can't sit still that long. So that's why nothing is, that's why your Navi River ride is only 2 minutes, and that's why Mine Train is only, just under 2 minutes or 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Because people can't sit still that long, and I guess So to me, it was those original group of Imagineers. While it was towards the end of all their 10 years, the story and the craftsmanship, everything that went into those things is what really sucked me in and kind of inspired me for Epcot being my favorite. They had the little World Key desks that were basically kind of like a precursor to what My Disney Experience is, and like these apps and stuff where you can look everything up. You went to these little kiosks in Epcot and you spoke to a live person and you can make your dining reservations. It had a map of Epcot and there was a little glowing orb that was like your host, and I forget what her name was. And so you would drag her around. It was a touch screen, and you would go to a map on a thing on the park, and it was like a virtual map. It would explain to you what you were looking at, and it would basically just read similar to what the maps used to read, but seeing another person on the other side, and this was late 80s, so it's like, it was Skype before Skype, So I don't know. I guess it's that, and then just the ambience of the park. It has a whole different feel when you walk into that place. Magic Kingdom is fun. It's whimsical. It's, you turn into your inner child, and Epcot was, I know they said edutainment and you're learning, which yes you did, but the way it was done, I think to me was a fantastic balance, and it was really, you didn't think you were learning about stuff, but when you came out of it and you started either talking about the attraction with people you were with, or when you got home and told your friends about the trip and everything, you realized how much information besides what you actually saw. What you saw is what you learned, whether it be in Horizons about farming on the desert, colonies in space, using seaweed and kelp as a possible energy source in the future, and things of that nature. Journey into Imagination, how they took you through your imagination and its story that Dreamfinder and Figment painted with how your imagination works. It was fascinating to me, to how they collect the thoughts, what they do with it, where each one goes, what happens when thoughts get taken too far, scary and artsy and everything. I don't know. It was just amazing. Visually, it was amazing, and just it made you think. And I guess that's what hooked me on that stuff. So not to say that stuff today doesn't, but it doesn't do it to the extent and to the overboardness that's not a word, but I can't think of another word. I don't know if I'm making any sense with it. Long-winded answer to your question.
And is that how they differentiated it from Tomorrowland with the edutainment angle? Because I did think when I went to Future World that it was a little bit of an overlap.
Yes, yeah, because Tomorrowland stuff is it's fun stuff. It's not futuristic now. It was when it first redid itself in the mid 90s. But yeah, you're not learning anything going on Space Mountain or the People Mover, or maybe if you had Wings was on, because it was basically, or a Delta Dream Flight, because it was pretty much a promotional for flying on Delta. But yeah, you weren't walking out of any of those attractions with like a greater knowledge of anything other than how much fun you had. So even World Showcase, I don't remember much of that early on, because we probably didn't frequent that end of the park that much, just because being young kids, there wasn't much. You only had El Rio de Tiempo, which is now the Grand Fiesta, which it's fun because it's Donald Duck, but it was much, much better when it was El Rio de Tiempo, because it actually taught you about the culture of Mexico, and it wasn't just Donald flying around on a serape with Jose and Panchito trying to chase him. I mean, like I said, it's a fun ride, but it really literally has nothing to do with Mexico, because both of those birds were South American. One was from Brazil and the other was from Central America. So they're falsely representing their own IPs. The best thing that happened to that attraction is when they took the old actual audio animatronics that were from the old Mickey Mouse Revue, which used to be where PhilharMagic is now, and put them at the end of that instead of the little cartoon they had. That was awesome. So I like it for that fact. But so I mean, for you, Jessica, you get to experience all the original Fantasyland dark rides, which we have one left, Peter Pan, pretty much. And I'm super jealous of that, because that's, you're not learning anything coming out of those either, but it's that classicness, it's that original, they're very simple designs, they're cardboard cutouts, but they're still big show spaces and big, all hand-painted walls and all the Mr. Toad is all moving flat. It's all 2D, I guess you call it. It's no
yeah,
it's nothing, but it's amazing because visually there's so much going on. But it's so simple, but there's a lot to take in.
No, it's true. I loved Fantasyland when I went to the Magic Kingdom, but I will say I just think that Disneyland's Fantasyland, because of all of those storytelling rides, just has this extra level of like charm that I think is just impossible to recreate without those storytelling rides. Because like the Mine Train is really cool, and what else is back there?
Ariel
is really cool, but I just think that it's not quite the same when you don't have, these quaint rides that just tell a story in the most basic format that's still really compelling and exciting. So
100%
I'm sad
agree.
for you that you don't have Alice in Wonderland, that you don't have Mr. Toad, that you don't have Pinocchio or Snow White, because those are some of my favorites.
Yep. I'm sad, but I'm also glad, because I'm glad they're not carbon copies. And I know that's
I agree.
Kind of seems the way that it's going, because the Under the Sea is the same in both, right? It's for the I've never ridden Disneyland's version, but I think they're pretty much the same attraction.
The exterior is different, but the interior is exactly the same.
Right.
Yeah, the California Adventure one, you go inside an aquarium, which just seems kind of morbid.
Wow, I didn't realize that. That's funny. Yeah, so I mean, even with some of the original stuff at the studios, I don't know what version of the backlot tour you got to see in 2008, Jim, and in 2015 it was gone, but the original one of that was fascinating. And the same thing, it was like a 40-minute thing, because you went in, you did the tram ride, then there was the animation tour part of it where you walked through and you actually saw animators animating, and they had the great little video monitors with the story with Walter Cronkite and Robin Williams, where he gets turned into a little lost boy, and they kind of put him through the paces of turning into an animated character, and how he gets his voice, how they do the sound effects, how storyboards work. And that stuff was fascinating to me. And then drawing a character, I just didn't understand how people complained that it was so long. What the hell else did you want to, I don't know. I was never in a hurry when I was there, and my family, we were never in a hurry. So I guess that's, I guess it's all how you look at it when you visit. There's two ways, there's many ways, but there's the super planners that want to get the most out of every minute that they're there, which there's nothing wrong with it, because you kind of have to do that if you really want to enjoy everything. I mean, Adrianne can attest to that, and she's very good at being able to do that with her family and knowing what they want to do. And then you have people on the other end of the spectrum, which would be me. And even with my family, sometimes I don't want to go in and just plan everything. I just kind of want to see where the day takes me. And if we only get to ride 3 rides, then I'm okay with that. My kids and I may not enjoy it, but you know what? I never had Fast Pass growing up, and I survived. So they'll live too. It's a lesson in patience.
Did you walk up the hill both ways to school in the snow too?
No. No,
I'm just saying. No, I'm teasing you.
No, I know. I know. I mean, I'm definitely on the outer end of the spectrum of that, but
that was one of the things when I went to Hollywood Studios. When me and my wife went there for our honeymoon, the one thing I wanted to do was the where you got to go in with an animator and they showed you how to draw a character. And I looked everywhere for it, because I did it like 3 times on my first trip, where you got to go in and you watched the video with Mushu.
Yep.
And then went in and did all that. So I couldn't find it. I looked on the map. I'm like, what the heck? So I went and talked to a cast member, and he's like, yeah, that's where the Star Wars launch bay is. I was like, oh.
Exactly.
And he's like, and that's not open yet either. He's like, so you kind of got screwed. I was like, yeah, I guess. I was like, I mean, I wasn't like mad about it, but it was one of those things, like, I was like, oh man, this will be a lot of fun. Let's go do this. And then it didn't.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah, we have some funny pictures from there.
Jim, I have a question for you. Given, if you were to plan your next trip to Disney World, how would you do it differently than your previous ones, now that a third trip doesn't really make you a newbie anymore?
I'll say this. I would relax.
Yeah. Yeah.
With the one being a surprise,
You didn't have
sort of
to
flipped a
purchase a
switch
picture of that.
when I got there, and I went into instant have to do everything because I'm not going to come here for another 7 years. So it's to the point my wife still makes fun of me because she wanted to get a Mickey pretzel, and we never ended up getting a Mickey pretzel because we were so
Oh.
like I was so determined to do everything. So I want to go back again and just get to relax, even if it's just go sit on a bench on Main Street and just sit and relax. And I know the couple things in each park that would be a necessity for me to do, and I know the things that I would be fine if I didn't get to do them. So
What are your necessities? Just curious.
What, you want me to go like park by park, or?
Well, I mean, just like, what have you not done, or what did you enjoy so much that you want to do again?
Well, most of the classics.
Yeah.
Definitely the People Mover. Like I said,
Favorite.
Philhar Magic, Splash Mountain, because my wife has a hilarious, she thinks hilarious picture of me coming down Splash Mountain. I didn't ride it on my 08 trip, so she rode it with me for the first time, and the drop is a lot bigger than I thought it was. And it got the picture, and I tried to tell her that I made a funny face on it so that she wouldn't think, and as soon as you saw it, it looked like I peed my pants. Like we went over the hill, and it was instant, oh my god. But
Funny.
That's something I have to do. Like I said, Phantasmic something. Like I said, a lot of the classics, Spaceship Earth,
Yeah.
just stuff like that is the stuff that I got to make sure I do.
Okay.
Like we did a lot of, like I said, a little bit of everything. We did the Monsters laugh floor, which was funny, but I'm, if you can't tell already, an incredibly awkward person. And I was the person who was supposed to buy churros for everyone,
Nice.
Oh.
and I wanted to throw up.
Hey,
Because
at
it
least
felt,
they didn't make you be Randall.
oh, I
That's
know.
the guy I always feel sorry for.
It felt like it took forever. Like I looked up and I'm like, oh my gosh. And my wife's loving it because she's the same way. She doesn't want to be on the screen. So the fact that I was on the screen was better for her. So now, like, I'm got my head down the whole time, and then I like look up and it's still there, and I have to put my head back down again. I'm like, everyone just saw you do that. Why did you do that? Like, just. So it was.
Oh.
And I did a lot of character meets because I never got to do that before, and I wouldn't be as that wouldn't be as big of a priority, I guess,
Yeah.
doing that.
Nice.
I don't did that answer what
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
what you were
definitely.
asking?
You've got a lot to do, young man.
No, yeah, that's what makes it hard is not going very often. I don't know when our next trip's going to be. We talked about trying to go next Christmas time because I've obviously never got to go. Last year we got to go for the Halloween party for the first time, which was a
Cool.
blast. So I'd like to get to go Christmas time. It's looking like it's not going to happen. We originally were actually going to try to go to Alani
Whoa.
before we have kids,
Right.
but job-wise has not been working out the way it was supposed to.
Yeah.
So money-wise, I don't know if we'll be able to do that or not. So we talked about maybe just doing a Christmas trip.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it just depends. I mean, like I said, not going that often makes it hard to go there and not go, okay, I need to do everything.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
I don't know when I'm going to do it again. But
You definitely have to get that mindset out because it's hard to do that even if, unless you're there for 10 days. And even at that, everything depends on what everything is. Everything can be attractions. Everything can be attractions and shows. It could be visiting resorts. So, and it's hard. You have to, that's why I was interested to hear your views on it because for somebody who hasn't gone often and a lot, I just wonder where the priorities are. Like, do do you bother try? Like, is there any place you really would like to eat? I know you said you and your wife are basic eaters, but there are restaurants that do have basic fare, but that are not just your quick services. You know, like you said, you did Cinderella's Royal Table. You know, there's, World Showcase probably is not in any of your realm, but there is some regular. I don't know how broad your palate is, but Disney Springs now has a ton of different offerings. So, is that something you would entertain, like, nighttime, going to check out one of those newer places, either, Jock Lindsay's or, Boathouse or any of those, or even the ones that have been there for a while, Paradiso and Raglan Road, just, the staples that have been down the West End since the original Pleasure Island, that also have great food.
When we got there on our first day, that was our Disney Springs day because we didn't get a ticket to the park that day. We got there at like noon. Luckily, got our hotel room early and went and slept, and then went over to Disney Springs. And surprisingly, I always get a lot of crap for this. We went to T-Rex.
Oh my!
My wife loves dinosaurs.
Okay.
Quick side note: when I proposed to her, I took her to the Pittsburgh Natural History Museum, and if any of you know the movie, you'll get the reference. I put the ring inside of a Barbasol can. Okay. And proposed with the Barbasol can, like from Jurassic Park.
Nice.
Because he kept all the vials and the.
Yep.
So when she saw that there was T-Rex, she told me that day, she's like, "This is the one thing on this trip for me." She's like, I want to go there, and I mean, it, like I said, we're basic eaters, so I mean that was fine for me. I mean that was
my
good
kids love T-Rex.
The only thing, it was freezing when we were there because it was hot outside, but inside the restaurant we were in shorts and maybe even tank tops, I think. And it was freezing there. But I mean, other than that, we did that. There's some other places there I'd like to try. I mean, I honestly can't think of any off the top of my head. Restaurants aren't exactly my forte.
Right.
I'd like to eat more in Animal Kingdom for sure. We just did the quick service in Dino Land.
Okay.
When we were there.
Nice.
I can't remember where. I was trying to think where we went after because we went somewhere else for dinner. That was just our lunch. We did the quick service there.
Okay. Yeah, Animal Kingdom has some great restaurants now.
Be Our Guest is one I would love to do. That's one that's going to be on the list, is doing dinner at Be Our Guest. We did lunch at Be Our Guest. And we ate in the West Wing. And nice. I believe we didn't walk around all that much, but someone said there's the library.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So we wanted to do dinner in the library.
Okay.
One of my favorites, Be Our Guest was probably my favorite, but one of my other favorites was Via Napoli. We ate at Via Napoli.
Uh-huh.
Nice. There you go. Yeah.
And that was probably one of my favorites.
Okay. Cool. Good. So is there... I know you said you haven't had looked too much into the past, but is there anything you've seen or heard about that you wished you had seen, live and not in a video? Is there any certain attractions in any of the parks?
Like I said, definitely the original Dreamfinder and Figment.
Yeah.
That's my favorite attraction at Epcot now is Figment now, and I know people say it sucks. So, and I've got to see the videos of the original one, and I mean, in comparison, I would have to agree, but I would love to get to experience that in real time.
Gotcha. So what about...
Another one I would have to say, and I'll get crap for this too, is Alien Encounter. And the reason I say that is I never understood why people say that Stitch is so terrible. I'm not saying it's like a great ride by any means. I know, right?
No.
Well, because
I'm not saying
it's awful.
Alien Encounters.
Am I kicked off? Should I go?
No. Because Alien. Well, I'm in the
mute button.
I'm in the minority too. I agree. Stitch is horrible, but I don't mind going on it. You know what I mean? 5-minute wait. If my kids wanted to do it, I'll go and do it. I don't hate it to the pack to the point that I will never walk on it again. Alien Counter was better because it scared the absolute bejesus out of you.
I just know people say this is awful, and Alien Encounter was better, and there was one before
it was Mission to the Moon and then Mission to Mars. Yeah, that was dated. I mean, I remember that, and Melanie does. So.
Oh, there was something there before then too, but yeah.
I just thought about it. I mean that
movie thing.
It was the 360 was across where Monsters Laugh Floor is now.
Was that where it was?
Yep, it was Circle Vision 360.
It was the 80s.
Then it was the Timekeeper with Robin Williams until it closed.
Right.
And they put the Laugh Floor. Timekeeper was awesome.
Is that when they tried to close the People Mover?
I believe so. Yeah.
Ugh, the dark days.
Days, yeah. Yeah, the other where Alien Encounter was it was originally Flight to the Moon, but then by the time Disney World opened in 1971, we'd already been to the moon, so it was kind of irrelevant. So
okay, I'm kind of redoing my path.
Yeah, but
I'm kind of seeing it now.
It ran for a little bit, and then it changed to Mission to Mars, and that ran until 90, even after the Tomorrowland redo in 94, 95. I think that ran till 96 when Mission Space was supposed to open, and then that finally closed. And they did Alien Encounter, which I think only ran for about 2 years before it got changed over to Stitch.
All right.
Something along that
lines. So, Jim, I have a quick question. Obviously, as RJ and I are talking, we've seen the changes to the parks come one at a time, whether it's attractions or new resorts or new fast pass procedures. I mean, we see these changes one at a time, so they're not that monumental to us. Is there anything coming in as a newer guest that's just intimidating because you're looking at all of these things all at once? What's one of the harder parts about planning a Disney trip these days?
Now I keep up on everything, so I mean, it would be a lot easier now. When we went for our honeymoon, there was a lot of shock, I guess, because like I said, I had kind of fallen out of keeping up on park news and everything. So I went to go see the Toontown, which was not there.
Nope.
It was gone.
It was gone. Oh.
So, I mean,
you
just
can go see that
like
at
that.
Disneyland.
That's right.
Yeah. So it's just stuff like that I mean, and especially, I mean,
things you thought were there that were gone.
Yeah, and I'm on the same page as you guys are, where, like with Toontown, I to this day don't see why they got rid of it and did the circus. And I've heard people say they think the circus is better. We didn't spend a whole lot. We did Dumbo and Barnstormer, and that was it. I mean, and that was, both of those were basically, hey, we have time to kill. What do you want to do?
Right.
But I mean, I loved, like, basically a really old little kid, so I mean, I loved, like, getting to see Mickey's house and getting to see the houses and stuff like that. So I mean, for me, when I went back and I'm like, oh, like, how do you just get rid of Mickey's house? Like, where does he live? Like, he's got to freaking live somewhere. Where
lives in the castle, Jim.
This?
They all live in the castle at night. Jeez.
And then
there's a lot of room.
I mean, it's stuff like that. And like I said, when I went to Hollywood,
perpetually backstage, getting ready in that poor little dressing room of his.
That's right.
It was the same thing, like with Hollywood Studios, when I went and, like RJ said, the backlot tour was gone.
Right.
All that stuff was gone, and it was really sad, I guess, for me, because a lot of it, I mean, it wasn't even like, oh, it's not there, but we got the Star Wars here now. Like, it wasn't there yet.
Yeah.
It was all under, it opened shortly after our last trip. I don't remember exactly when. But yeah, so I mean, it was just kind of, shocking, like you said. I mean, you go
it can get disorienting. You think something is on the right but then you turn around and it's really on the left because there's no straight paths anywhere.
Yes.
And I'll say, especially in Animal Kingdom, which is the one park that I don't have an internal mental map of. I don't know why I have a mental block when I do not have a mental map. I can tell you how to get from one point to the next point in any park, but Animal Kingdom.
But that
so when you think that an attraction's on the right, and as you're passing it, it's on your left, I'm like, that is very disorienting. So I can only imagine when the entirety of Toontown is gone. You're expecting to see something, but it's not there.
Nope. We'll see.
Yeah, it's strange.
Animal Kingdom, you have to use 3 reference points to know where you are. I tell you what they are. So you walk in, your first reference point, because it's usually what you pass first, is the Dawa Bar. So you know you're in Africa. That's where Lion King is. You're going to head to the safari.
Right.
You want to go over now. Pandora's over there now, but you want to go on the other side for Pete Safari and Flame Tree. Nomad's on that side. You head towards the back of the park where Nemo is, and Everest, you have the Thirsty River Bar. So there's your 3 landmarks. That's all you need to know how to get anywhere in the park. You're welcome.
Food and booze. That's all that matters.
Yeah. And the food is optional because beer is expensive.
Legitimately, though, when we were there in September, some part from Africa to Asia was blocked. The one that goes, where you get that pretty backside of the tree picture.
Yes.
And so the cast members were like, okay, you need to go back across the bridge and take a left. And honest to goodness, guys, I don't know how many times I've been to Animal Kingdom. I had no idea there was a path there that goes almost. I had no idea. None. And I was just like, well, this is pretty. Who knew?
It goes behind, around the giant, monkey cage, right? Where all the monkeys are playing?
And
yeah.
Yes. I know what she's talking about.
Yeah. You go through the tree almost.
Yes. Yeah. Those are that's like the, I think there's a name, it's like the Discovery Island Trails, or is that the Oasis Gardens or something along those lines? Or, yeah, there's
no idea. I couldn't find it again if I tried. I have no idea.
I wandered.
Oh, gosh.
I wandered around there with my daughter on our last trip because we went to the park late that morning because she had been ill the night before. So my family and the rest of them all went ahead for their Lion King Fast Pass. So when she was ready in the morning, it was about 9:30, I think we got out of the hotel and headed to the park. And her and I just wandered around in those trails, and she had our big camera. She was taking pictures of the animals that she saw and everything else. And it was so relaxing and so peaceful. I was like, we have to do this every time. I was like, this was awesome. Besides, it was cool daddy-daughter time, but it was just because there's nobody in there. And people that are just like what you said, Adrianne, either kind of cutting through because they were led that direction. But other than that, it was just wow. And they're so gorgeous in there.
Yeah, I had to get an entire group of teenagers from Kilimanjaro over to Dinosaur in 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had we were stuck on the safari because of the critters, as that always happens. So our fast passes are slowly expiring to get on Dinosaur, and oh my goodness, we bolted, but we made it. But it was dark. So I had very few reference points.
That park is dark at night.
I'm just glad I didn't end up over at the Festival of the Lion King. Is all I'm saying.
Oh my!
Trying to get the dinosaur in the dark is not easy.
No. Well, because not only is that area of the park like a spur off of any main drag, Dinosaur is at the end of that spur. It's you're not going there by mistake. You need to be on a.
You need to know where you're going.
Yeah. It's
I'm pretty good on that side of the park, but getting there from Kilimanjaro was not easy for me. I know how to get to Nemo from Dinosaur. I know how to get from a couple points, but crossing the whole park and going the right way without going on the wrong side of the tree, it was. Yep. I was fairly impressed with my skills that day.
Well, because if you look,
we made it.
It's kind of a circle-ish hub design, but then it's not.
It's not.
So it's weird because there is a circular path around the tree, and then it spurs, to some of the other areas, but there's no direct path to anything.
But it's not like going around the castle where, okay, if you make the wrong turn there, you just go around the castle. And sure, it may take you about 5 extra minutes. If you go around the tree,
it's a half hour.
You're 20 minutes out of your way.
Yeah, because you got to go all the way
around. At Christmas, it is a half
Yeah.
hour.
Well, and if at night, if you get caught in the Rivers of Light mess, forget it.
Oh, dear Lord, baby Jesus.
Going around that corridor by Everest and trying to go all the way around by Nemo past Dino Land and coming around the other way, whew.
Impossible.
That was not well thought out, that.
Yeah.
So you'll see, Jim. You'll see.
Oh, that was the one park the map was glued to our faces.
Yeah.
Walking around. Now wait, how the hell did we end up here? Hold on.
Yeah. I'm with you, Melanie. I'm much better now than the last few trips.
Mm-hmm.
But I used to walk into that place and be like, I have no clue how to get anywhere. And I used to have the map in front of me. And I'm like, this is terrible.
Yeah.
This is why I'm holding a map.
Yeah, I've probably only been there about 10 times. So, no, I'm old. It's going to take another 10 times before the map works in my brain.
I still use the map feature on the My Disney Experience, the one that like shows the little man walking from point A to point B. Heck yeah, I do.
I've never actually tried it.
Oh my gosh, it's fabulous.
Is it?
It is. Because I got lost
So
going to Flame Tree last time. How do you even do that? I don't know.
You got lost where?
Going to Flame Tree.
Gosh.
Is this a new confession hour? Because I'm feeling a little embarrassed, but it's true.
It's okay.
Newbie mistakes or even veteran mistakes.
I was going to say, it'll make newbies feel better, right?
I tell you.
Absolutely.
You know where I do it all the time? And the land is not that old, but still, so when I was there for the last month, and I spent my last morning alone in the Magic Kingdom and did a bunch of stuff. So I was like, I was heading back towards Fantasyland. I said, all right, let me see what the mine train is. I didn't look on the app. I said, let me just see what the standby is, and I do it every time that I've been there. I always think the entrance is on the other side, like by Ariel. So I walk all the way around towards Ariel. I'm like, oh, you idiot. Thing's over here. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm over here, so I'll check Ariel. That's what I was really, I'm trying to convince myself that I knew what I was doing originally. So then, I didn't turn around once I was like by Gaston's and go back the other way to check it. I was like, let's just I walked completely all the way around the whole mountain, and then by the time I got to the other side of the mountain, I said, F this, I'm going to Tomorrowland. I don't even care. Because by this time, the line's going to be long, and now I'm mad because the entrance was over there.
It's not exactly prominent.
It's not.
So you do have to know where you're going on that one.
I hate going through that corridor there anyway, because I just have to walk by Pooh, and it angers me.
Why does Pooh anger you?
Because it took away Mr. Toad.
Oh, we need a therapy session for that. I forgot.
That's why I drink, Melanie.
They did. They took away Mr. Toad.
I'd rather be lost at Disney than know where I am here.
True.
Preach.
Preach.
You are true, sir.
Oh, yep.
Yep.
That's not bad.
So, all right. So, trying to think now. All right. So, you guys. So, what about I'm trying to think of other things that we haven't mentioned. So, did you see any of the nighttime stuff? Electrical parade, any fireworks, illuminations? I know you said you Fantasmic, but did you catch anything in any of the other parks?
Yes, and it is beyond me why they ever got rid of Spectro Magic.
Because you would have seen
cute.
You would have seen that in 2008, yeah.
Yes, I loved Spectro Magic. I still listen to the music.
It's very 90s.
Oh, yes. Definitely.
Wishes was the same both times when we were there. I'm trying to think what else.
Illuminations.
Yeah, I saw that both times. There was a parade that was not there my last trip at not Hollywood Studios, Animal Kingdom.
Oh, the Jam and Jungle Parade, yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Which I thought was a lot of fun. I thought it was neat.
It was okay. It was just monotonous.
Yeah.
It went on forever, and the song got kind of very repetitious because there wasn't much to it. But the parade floats were cool, and the performers and stuff were good. If they changed the music a little bit, it probably would have been much better. But then again, that was a hard park to have a parade in because where it came through, it was such a busy area, and then when they started doing the expansion and moving the Lion King and everything over, it just was impossible to run it, I guess. I think that's when they stopped it.
Yeah, and the last trip we did get to see the Boo to You parade and all the nighttime stuff for the Halloween party.
Oh, that's the best right there.
Yeah.
You can't top that. That is for sure. All right, so you got to see. Yeah, Spectro was good. I liked, I was back and forth on those two parades. I grew up on the original Main Street Electrical Parade, so that'll always be probably my favorite one. Before they added Tinkerbell and I forget the other thing they changed in it when they brought it back. And then, yeah, Spectro, when I first saw Spectro, I didn't like it because, like with anything else, they took away the Electrical Parade, and that's what I saw as a kid. And then, as a teenager in the 90s, and then this other new thing came in, and I was like, what the hell is this? What are these weirdos playing trumpets, and the hell is going on here? And then I grew to love that one, and the only reason I wasn't that sad when that one left is because they were bringing Main Street Electrical back. But, then when I found out that they didn't take care of it when they put it away, then it just made me mad that I'll never ever see it again. And I must say that is probably one of the most watched videos of things that are gone that I watch. I will watch SpectroMagic on YouTube often. I don't go so much for the ride videos because they're hard to, it's nice to refresh my memory of them, but I was, especially for the Epcot ones, they're pretty ingrained because I just loved them so much. But watching that parade on YouTube, I do that often. So
yeah,
and then I mean, Wishes made me laugh when it was going away because they're like, oh, it's been 14 years. It just seems like that has been the fireworks show forever. Like I remember seeing Fantasy in the Sky because it was there, but it seems like Wishes has been there for 30 years. I don't know, you know what I mean? It's because it's I don't know. It's when they
that's the only one I've ever known. So
yeah, they were like, oh, it's ending its 14-year run. I'm like, 14-year run? I said, Wishes has been there since I'm like, oh wait, no, I've just been going for a while. It's like, no, you're just old. So, all right, cool, man. All right, so I guess so. And before we wrap up, what are your thoughts then on how the parks are going, like the direction that they're heading, with all the expansion at the studios, Pandora, which I have not experienced yet, and I know you haven't either. So. In the fact that now you're in the community now, you're on Twitter, you've got a podcast where you're talking about Disney stuff with a buddy of yours. I know you don't get to frequent the parks as often as you'd like to, but you said you do keep up with this stuff. So what are your thoughts? Are you intrigued by it? Is anything worry you? Even with like the direction of Epcot, which I know you didn't get to experience how it was originally, like I always fanboy about. But so what? All that stuff that came out with D23 and the things that have come online already, you excited about all this stuff, or do you not care? Or is it stuff you're gonna, as Adrianne was saying, are you gonna incorporate it into some of your newer planning and things of that nature?
Yeah, I'm excited for a lot of the new stuff. Doing some research, I guess I'll say. I'm not the biggest fan of Iger. Only because the only thing that worries me is the parks never... all the attractions anymore are movie-based.
Yes.
there's no original ideas, and that's the one thing that slightly worries me. And you had mentioned Epcot, and that's a big one that worries me, because I know Epcot was supposed to be edutainment, like you guys said, and I don't want it to lose sight of that. I'm really excited for Toy Story Land because I love Toy Story. All in all, I guess I would say I'm really excited for all the changes. Like I said, I don't get why everything has to be movie based now.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, especially for Epcot. I'm as much as I love Guardians of the Galaxy, and I was not super disappointed that was what was going to take over Universe of Energy. I'm not super thrilled that it's going to be a roller coaster, because depending on the type of coaster and how nutty it is, I just won't be able to do it. And then that'll sadden me more than anything, because then it's something in my favorite park that I can't do. Like Mission Space I can't do, but at least there's the crappy green version, which I will never step foot in again, because the new one is terrible. Oh, it really is. The movie
I've never done that. I wouldn't be able to do that.
Well, the non-spin, I can't do the spinning one. The green one, they changed the movie, and they just dumbed it down. It is terrible. I mean, I get it. You know, they got to change the movie. They changed the. You know, Lieutenant Dan isn't there anymore. It's whoever the girl is, and she's okay. It's not. I don't know. Doesn't seem to have the same.
She's no Lieutenant Dan.
No. Well, it kind of lost its whimsy, and but the movie's terrible. You don't even go to space. You don't. It's like Soarin', except
spoiler alert,
flying over the Earth. I'm saving you time. Don't bother. Seriously.
Well, my kid's just like the play area on the other side anyway.
Yeah, that's more fun, believe me.
Just go through the gift shop to the play area.
Yeah, go in the exit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm with you with that on that as well, Jim, and I think that's why I have such an affinity for all the older stuff. And for as Jessica said, the charm that the classic dark rides have. Because yes, they were based on movies, but they were done like perfectly. It was in those classic films, the stories were simple, and so the rides didn't need to be overly complicated for them. You know, it's just I think in Epcot now the one that's the biggest travesty of what's left is what they did with the Seas, because the Living Seas Pavilion was gorgeous before Nemo took over. The paint scheme inside was nice. It was a brighter pavilion. There was a ton of stuff to do in there. Every room had little, not only displays, but it had like little shows with either divers or marine biologists or people in there explaining things to you, and little demonstrations and things of that nature. I mean, now there's just nothing. It's just a giant aquarium, and they painted the whole goddamn thing blue. It's dark. You know, the ride's the ride. It's half of what it used to be, and they closed up most of the tunnels so they could do. You used to be able to see on top of you and both sides in that attraction. You weren't just facing one side.
Wow.
Yeah, they were cars very similar to Spaceship Earth's cars. Similar setup to those. And yeah, you were able to see all around you at what it was, and the whole thing with taking you down to the Seabase Alpha and the story that went with that. You know, there's no story anymore. It's just another ride with a gigantic, never-ending queue. Switchback on top of switchback. So that original storytelling I'd love to see come back, especially for Epcot, because that's kind of what that park was about. I don't think it's going to, but only time will tell. So we'll see what happens with that. And, Star Wars is Star Wars. That's going to be amazing and awesome. But I think I'm with you with Toy Story Land, and I know I'm probably in the minority because there's a lot of hate going around about the new Toy Story. Like, the Slinky Coaster's small, and it's only going to be this, and it's going to be a family coaster, kind of like what Mine Train was. Like, I don't know what people thought they were going to put in. They're not going to put something like the Hulk in. That's not what, what I mean? They're Disney's, they'll do thrill rides, but they're not going to do, if you want Six Flags rides, go to friggin' Six Flags,
Oh, yeah.
If you want to just ride a roller coaster, go ride a roller coaster. You're not going to get that here. You're going to get theming, you're going to get story, and it's not going to be 1,000 miles an hour for 5 minutes, you know, or whatever the hell those big major coasters do, you know? I don't know. So, anywho. Any closing thoughts, anybody? Anything else?
I hear crickets.
No, I hear crickets too. All right, cool.
And it's not Jiminy.
So, that's right. All right, so Jim, why don't you tell us where we can find you, where your podcast's at, and all that stuff.
Well, you can find our podcast on Twitter. We're at Briar Patch Radio. It's just a basic Disney podcast. We just talk about whatever we want to talk about Disney. It's me and my friend Brian. He's from New Jersey. So sort of up your way.
Yep.
We're on there, like I said, at Briar Patch Radio. You can, we have the email, briarpatchradio@gmail.com. We're on Podbean, pretty much anywhere. And if we're not on where you want to listen, just get a hold of us and we'll be on there. But I'm pretty sure we're on about every one we can be on. And then you can find me on Twitter at Steamboat Magic and on Instagram at Lundy_90. That's LUNDY_90.
Awesome. Very good. Cool, man. All right. Well, thanks for coming on and chatting with us. And
well, thanks for having me on. This is awesome. Like I said before we started, I listen to you guys all the time. So this is awesome to get to talk to all you guys.
Well, thank you. We appreciate it. Now you can tell everybody how disappointing it was. No. All right. So, with that, we are going to wrap this episode up, and we thank everybody for listening, and we'll talk to you next time. Follow our troupe at www.dizexplorers.com, where you can find all the links for all our hosts' social media accounts. You can also follow the podcast on our Facebook group at the Diz Explorers and on Twitter and Instagram at the Diz Explorers. You can download this podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Podbean, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher Radio, and also on YouTube. Thanks for listening.
You have not lived up on your safety bar.